Welcome to Melody Hill, where the sun is always shining, the sky is always blue, the grass is always green, and it's a beautiful place to build a house. Our first two friends to build houses on Melody Hill were best friends. They were copycatters. They went everywhere together, and their names were So-3PO and R2, Me Too. Wherever So-3PO would go, me too. And when So built his house up high, Me built his house down low. They built their houses a skip apart because even best friends drive each other a little bit crazy sometimes. So built his house up high, and Me built his house down low, with room for a whole nother house in between them. They would play outside all day, and then in the evenings, they would go back to their homes and do secret hand signs through the windows. So's was straight across like this, and Me's was flat. So, me, so, me. Me, so, so. So, me. They lived together for a while, but before too long, a new neighbor moved in. And she was kind of a princess. And her name was Princess Lana. And Princess Lana built her house even higher on Melody Hill than So. But she was a nice princess, so she built her house right next door, only a step away. But Princess Lana, she was a little bit different. If So and Me were in the space, well then La, she was always on the line. And if So and Me were on the line, well then La would be in the space. Even her hand sign was different. So and Me were straight across, but La was curvy. So, La, so, Me. Me, so, La, so. So, me, la, so, me. They lived together on Melody Hill without too much trouble before one day tragedy struck. There was a robbery at Princess Lana's house. Somebody stole her crown. And she said to her neighbor So-3PO, "Do you know anyone who can protect Melody Hill?" And he said, "I know just the guy. He's wise, he's smart, and he uses the Force. And his name is Master Yodo." And Master Yodo built his house at the base of Melody Hill. And he put in an invisible gate to separate Melody Hill from Melody Valley. And only the key could open it. And Master Yodo was the rock of Melody Hill. So if Do was on his base, then Me was on his base, then So was on his base. Everything is in its place. They protected Princess Lana by working together. So if Do needed to move, then if Do was on a line, then Me was on a line, then So was on a line. Everything was fine. They protected Princess Lana for a long time, but then Do noticed something. Me was having a tendency to get in trouble. R2, Me Too never seemed to be at the right place at the right time. And Master Yodo said, "Princess Lana, do you know anyone who can help R2, Me Too get in line, be in the right place?" And she said, "I know just the person. She is so good at taking care of little men." And her name is Snow Ray. And Snow Ray built her house in between Do and Me. And even her hand sign points up to Me. Do, re, mi. Mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, re, do. These friends lived together on Melody Hill in peace and prosperity for a long time before one day tragedy struck again. There was another robbery at Princess Lana's house, and she said, "I know you are working so hard to keep the bottom of Melody Hill protected, but it leaves the top wide open. That's it. I'm calling my sister. And she called in Queen Dosa. And Queen Dosa built her house at the very tippy top of Melody Hill, far away from the others, and she was the rock at the top, protecting them. So, do, so, la, do, la, so, mi, re, do, do. Now little did they know that all this time there was a brooding thing happening down in Melody Valley. A dark and gloomy force was growing, threatening to turn all of the music scary and sad. And then one day a new neighbor moved in, and his name was Darth Law. And he changed the music from major into minor. And he even stole Law's hand sign and made it sad. La, la, do, re, mi, re, do, la. La, la, do, la. All of the notes of Melody Hill put their heads together and thought, who could we find that could help make Darth Law a little less scary, a little less sad? And then they realized they could call their friend. Her name was Sukahuntus. And Sukahuntus built her house right next door to Darth Law in Melody Valley. And she built it right next to the river. And they worked together to make the music sound better. Do, la, so, do. Now, while they were all worried about Darth Law, it took a while for them to notice that R2-Me2 was still getting into trouble. He was just too much for Snow Ray to handle. And so they thought long and hard about who they could call to move in, because a whole step was just too far away. They needed someone who could live only a half step away from Me's house. And her name was Mulan. And Mulan said, "No, you are not going to cause any more trouble. I don't think so." Mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. And she built her house right next door, only a half step away. The houses were practically touching, so she could keep him in line. Now, you might be wondering about our last note. Well, our friends, Master Yodo and Queen Dosa, were clearly working overtime to keep the residents of Melody Hill protected from every threat that could come their way. And they needed a sidekick. So everyone, meet Teloff and Princess Tia. Teloff lived right next door to Queen Dosa, making sure she has everything she needs to be successful, and Princess Teloff made sure that Yoda could be the master until she was ready to step up and help. And T lived only a half a step away so that they could be the best possible sidekicks. And even their hand sign points up to the sign that's close to them. La-ti-do, do-ti-la-ti-do, Do, do, ti, re, do. Do, ti, la, ti, do. And that, my friends, is the entire story of Melody Hill.